What's up, boys? MKTV here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing the players I think are pretty much as close to essential as they get in fantasy football for Euros Fantasy 2024. If you do enjoy, smash thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. That would mean the absolute world. Drop a comment as well, boys, on videos you want to see in the future on this fantasy football as well. And without further ado, let's hop straight into the first player. So the first player I'm going to be looking at that I think is as nailed on and as 100% that you must have in your team is going to be Harry Kane of England. The reasons being he's nailed on for England as well. I don't see, the likes of Ollie Watkins or Ivan Toney playing. Maybe, obviously if England are winning a game, he comes on or comes off early and stuff. But apart from that, I think Harry Kane is more than nailed on. I think he's on penalties as well for the fact of, he's England's best penalty taker when he's on the pitch. So he's going to be on them as well. And the chances of getting a lot of penalties with the, silky wingers that England do have, very, very high that they could get a lot of them. And he's also England's biggest goal threat. He has assists to his game as well. He drops deep. Harry Kane, for me, best striker in the world, maybe apart from Haaland. 11 million in the game as well. He is expensive. However, I do think he does actually warrant that price tag. Him and Mbappé being the two players that are most expensive. 49% owned as well. He is expensive and he is high owned. But for the most part, I think Harry Kane is as nailed on as he gets. He's going to get you goals. He guarantees that, unless obviously something like an injury does pop up. We hope it doesn't. But for Harry Kane and for England, if they are going to go far in the competition, I think he is going to be an absolute must-have in your FPL team. The next player I think is a must-have and probably my most must-have in this game in the Euro Fantasy Football 24 is going to be Max Mittelstädt of Germany. I think he's an absolute must-have for the fact of he is 4 million in the game. He is also only 8% owned at the time of recording this video. That could go up as more and more people understand that he is a brilliant option in the game. But definitely I would have Max Mittelstädt in my team. He's as cheap as defenders come. So even if he doesn't end up playing, which is a very, very high chance of, he played in qualifiers for Germany in left back. Germany's starting left back and they are the host nation as well. So their defense should be solid. He's an attacking fullback that plays for Stuttgart in Germany. And basically David Raum, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, is the other competition for the left back spot for Germany. So high chance of him playing and starting a lot of games as well. I definitely will be going with Mittelstädt in my team. Don't risk not having a 4 million playing defender in Euro Fantasy. And especially the fact Germany are a good defense. He's going to get some points for being defensive and offensive as well in some of the games, hopefully, if he does get some attacking returns. However, he does get on in them games. But yeah, definitely pop him in for 4 million. Obviously, a German slot is going to be, you're going to want to try and keep your German slots because they could go very far in the competition, the fact of the host nation. But if I was playing a defender, looking at the likes of Rudiger for 5.5 million or Mittelstädt for 4 million, I think it's a no-brainer. Go with Mittelstädt, see how he gets on. And just, for 4 million, you cannot complain, especially if he plays and does start for Germany. The next player I think is a must-have in Euro Fantasy 2024 is going to be Kylian Mbappé of France. Now, Kylian Mbappé, do I need to say any more? He is going to score goals. He is France's best player, arguably the best player in Europe, in the world, whatever you want to say. On his day, he will tear any team apart. It doesn't matter who he's matched up against. He is going to score goals this competition. He is going to get assists. He is going to be the main man for France, and France are one of the favourites to go ahead and win the competition. I would definitely be having Kylian Mbappé in my squad if I were you. 11 million, so he is obviously very, very expensive, the most expensive player in the game, along with Harry Kane. I would definitely have him in there, however. 11 million, 76% owned. A lot of people do have him, so if he does score, does assist, and you do not have him, you have a massive chance of falling behind as well. So a lot of the players that are heavily owned, I would try and stay clear of, except the essentials. And in my opinion, Kylian Mbappé is a must-have, definitely for this upcoming Euros. And I just see France absolutely tearing apart some of the teams in their group. I really do. And Kylian Mbappé is just going to be at the front of that. He really is. I wouldn't be going without him. I really, really wouldn't. It is completely up to you at the same time. But he is a must-have for me in Euro Fantasy 24 this summer. Next up, we do have two players actually this time because I cannot pick between one of them. I think it's going to be essential for you in your FPL team or in your Fantasy Euro team this season to have one of either Jude Bellingham or Phil Foden. I think personally, if I'm picking one of them, it probably is Phil Foden at the moment, but I can definitely see why you would pick Jude Bellingham as well. If Jude Bellingham plays in the number 10 role, and this is kind of what it does come down to, if one of these players do go ahead and play in the number 10 role for England, I think that's the player I do go ahead and, stay with for the tournament. Just because I think that 10 role for England could be absolutely pivotal for them doing well or doing not well in this tournament. I think for the most part they should do well, but will they win the tournament? Will they get to the final? That is left up to the squad and the players Gareth Southgate's picks, in my opinion. But yeah, both huge roles for England as well in this tournament. And I can't personally pick between the two, really. Like, as I said, I am leaning towards Foden, but on a different day, it could be Bellingham as well. So that's one thing I'm having trouble with. Which one of these do I go for? But for the most part, I think you have to have one of them, in my opinion. I think one of them are essential. Difference in price by 0.5. That Bellingham is slightly more expensive, probably just for the fact he's had a really, really good season as a goal-scoring midfielder. That's not to say Foden hasn't had a good season. He's got the Premier League Player of the Year. He's been an absolute sensation this season as well. 50% owned for Bellingham, 36% owned for Foden. So again, if Foden gets that number 10 role, he's less owned. I do very, very much so like that. But definitely have one of these in your squad, I would say. Alongside maybe a Kylian Mbappé and a Harry Kane as well. But yeah, definitely would have one of these in my squad going into Euro 24 fantasy for the summer. Shout out as well, I did say players to avoid video a few days ago on Bukayo Saka. If Saka does turn out to be, playing there as well in that right wing role, it's a tricky one. I would have an England midfielder. That is how I would put it. Personally, it's between Bellingham and Foden at the moment, whoever plays in the 10. But shout out Bukayo Saka as well. I may have made a bit of a mistake there because he probably will play a lot of games for England. But definitely one to keep in mind is Foden and Bellingham. Definitely have one of those going into your squad. The next player is an interesting one. It is going to be Diogo Dalot of Portugal. He's had a massive season for Manchester United this year. A really, really impressive season. Played at right back for most of the season. Played a left back in parts as well. And the Portuguese side have kind of defensive troubles. I wouldn't say they're the most structurally sound at the back. Pepe probably will be still playing and he is getting on a bit. They do have João Cancelo as well, who can play right and left back. Do you have Mendes in left back as well from PSG. But if I'm being very honest, Dalot can play right back or left back. It depends on the system Portugal do play. He could be playing. I have a feeling he will play most games, if not every game, just because of how good of a season and how good of form he's been in. I see him as a big part for this Portuguese side, a very attacking fullback that can get you them at points going forward, coming back. And I see maybe Cancelo dropping into midfield and Dalot playing at the back. He could play right or left back, like I said as well. So he just covers a lot of areas. And if things are going to be changed up as well for the Portuguese side, I can see Dalot being played at left back, right back, an array of different positions. And I just think he'd be a really good option. He's only 5 million as well. He's not going to break the bank. And I just think he's worth, 7% owned as well. It's not high at all. So he does get a decent score. You are going to gain on a lot of the other players in the game and stuff as well. And I do think he will play a lot of the games for Portugal in that squad. But it is one thing to note. I wouldn't say he's 100% nailed on. I do think he's a must-have for the fact that he's so cheap and he can play anywhere amongst that defence. And just, he's a better option in my opinion to Cancelo just because of the price difference. He probably has similar output as well. But if you want to go for a Cancelo or something like that, I totally get that as well. And finally, the players I do think you should have, or the final position you should definitely have in your Euro Fantasy 24 team for the Euros, is going to be a French defender. Mainly because I think France are going to go far in this tournament. I think they could potentially win it. And I just would overall have a defender, like I said, from France in this one and probably Germany. Again, you can have Portugal, like the likes of Dalot, or England, whatever you want to cover. Those four teams I'm thinking could get very far in this tournament. And yeah, should go far, as I said, for France. Will keep a lot of clean sheets as well, you would expect. And I would go for pretty much any of the defenders that are going to play. Personally, at the moment, I'm on Theo Hernandez. If you want to go for Lucas Hernandez, if he's back from his injury, you can go ahead and go for him. Jules Koundé as well. I'm very, very big fan. I'm a big fan of him for this tournament as well, playing right back. If you want to go for the likes of William Saliba, you can go for him as well. But they mainly, are ranged from between 5 million to 5.5 million. So keep a slot for a French defender of 5 to 5.5 million. And they kind of range between 7 to 24% owned for a French defender as well. Theo Hernandez being the most owned just because of that attacking output in the left back position for France. And the fact he's on the same side as Kylian Mbappé will, probably give him a little bit more of an edge going forward and stuff as well. But yeah, any French defender in my opinion. So I would go between Koundé, Theo Hernandez and William Saliba would be my three. Personally leaning towards Theo Hernandez, but you have to work funds into account as well. That's why I kind of would go for any French defender. Even the likes of, like I said in my last video, Mike Maignan should be probably injured going into the start of the game, or the start of the Euros. So if you want to go for the likes of Samba or Areola, have one of them in your squad. And, a French defender classes a French goalkeeper as well, I suppose, because you get that French defense clean sheet points. But yeah, definitely a French defender is another part that I would be looking at being an essential and a must-have in Euro Fantasy 24. So that is going to wrap things up for today's video. If you have enjoyed, smash that thumbs up button as well. It would mean the absolute world. Drop a subscribe on the channel as well. We are very close, very fast approaching as well. Do want to say a massive thank you for everyone who has subscribed recently. We're on the way to 5k and fast approaching that as well. Massive thank you. League code will be set up in the next video, so do make sure you've notifications on as well to go ahead and join our league for the Euro Fantasy 24 as well. Yes, so see that next time. My next video will be a team review of what the team is looking like. I haven't done one in a few days as well. So looking at what my team is looking like personally. Let me know as well down below if you have any questions in regards to Euro Fantasy for this season for the Euros. Drop them in the comments. Any decisions you're trying to make, video ideas you'd like to see, leave them in the comment section down below. Massive thank you for watching, and I'll catch you always next time with the next one. Peace.